Hello YouTube, EasyGoingMC back with another video. Today we're going to be going over my guide to every single villager profession and which ones are the best and worst to trade with in survival Minecraft for getting emeralds, for buying their products, and more. So basically this is part of a few-part series I'm going to be doing where I just go over villagers. I find that for me, that's the most interesting part of Minecraft is working with villagers a lot of the times. So I'm going to be sort of sharing my tidbits and stuff, and today we're essentially going to be going over my opinions as to which villagers are probably the best and easiest to trade with for emeralds and which ones that really have no use for you in survival Minecraft. First, I do want to share a couple of common tips and tricks that are very important when you're working with villagers to know. The first of which is the fact that you can cycle through trades. So this guy is currently locked, but if we got rid of him and he's no longer there, and we can cycle through this guy. And as you can see, every time we place and break this lectern, his trades change. And he becomes normal villager, then he's librarian again with different trades. However, it is important to note if you do lock this guy, so say we trade for these bookshelves, he will no longer lose his trades. It is also important to note though that he needs access to a workshelf, to a book workstation in order to replenish his trades. If you don't have that, he'll never restock. And then also that leads me into the second point that's important to know is that villagers can only restock their trades twice a day. This is actually told you when you hover over an X. So you only can trade with the villager a certain amount of times a day. This means that essentially the villagers that have the most trades you can trade with that single villager for emeralds are going to be the best because you can finish instead. Say there are 6 trades you can trade with, that means you technically have 12 trades you can overall make and 12 maxed out trades in one workday. But anyways, let's get into the meat of the video and explain which villagers are the best to trade with. The order of this is going to be the best villagers to trade with for emeralds, then ones that are still really good but more so for buying things, and all the way at the end, which there are just a few of the ones that really aren't good for anything. So first, let's talk about the best villager to trade with for emeralds. This is the farmer. So the farmer essentially sells you crop items that you can sell crops to them. Every crop variant, here they are. They're guaranteed to have at least 2 of these, and then usually they have both pumpkin and melons. Sometimes there is a slim chance they don't have pumpkins, but it's not too hard to really get a few farmers, and you should have most that have a pumpkin and melon trade like this one does, as long as 2 of the other crop trades. This is important because these 2 are very easy to farm in large quantities, as are these, but especially these, considering it's only 6 pumpkins and 4 melons per emerald, which is really, really cheap. And actually, if you were to cure this guy from a zombie villager, these prices drop to 1. So definitely your farmer is really honestly a good bet because you can make large, pretty unlaggy farms of all of these items and essentially get infinite emeralds with a few farmers. Next, moving on is the Fletcher, definitely. So to this guy, I'd say the best trades to sell them are string and sticks. You can also sell him feathers, but animal farms are laggy and they get large quantities of feathers. You need a lot of chickens, so I just don't see the necessity in selling him that. String is important because you can make a hostile mob farm and sell it to him. And then sticks, of course, are produced by witch farms, as well as if you had a wood farm and things like that. Sticks are really easy to get by. This is probably the best early game trade if you're first starting out with villagers, since it's really easy to get a lot of sticks just by chopping a few trees down. So as you can see, the sticks are the first one, and then string and feathers are unlocked later. That's the Fletcher, and his workstation is the fletching table. This guy is the composter. Next, moving on, we have the Fisherman. The reason why he's up here is because you can sell him string, which is only, once again, it's 20 for this one, 14 for that one, but that's really low if you have a decent mob farm, which there's plenty of mob farm designs that are extremely efficient. You can also sell them all the fish types, so if you're AFK fishing and things like that, or have a squid farm that's also producing, say, salmon, you can sell him all of these, but definitely string is the way to go, and that's why he makes the 3rd on the list. The next one on this list is a cleric, and this one's also very useful because you can sell them rotten flesh. You can also sell them gold, but that requires a gold farm, and especially with 1.16, gold will be much more useful for piglin trading, so I suggest just sticking to selling him rotten flesh, unless you have a lot of this stuff lying around. But for the average survival player, rotten flesh is the way to go. The reason why this is so valuable is because rotten flesh really has little to no use other than this in most circumstances that I can think of. So if you have a hostile mob farm, you're producing just as much rotten flesh as every other drop, so you might as well turn it into emeralds. This guy's also pretty good early game because you can buy ender pearls for 5 emeralds a pop, which means that if you're having trouble killing endermen, I don't feel like this. If you trade up this guy a little bit, you can get a bunch of ender pearls relatively easily. Of course, there's nether warts as well, but considering those aren't even automatically farmable, I don't really consider that in this thing. You could also buy redstone and lapis, which are both pretty good if you need that early game. And they'll have a witch farm, and you can't actually farm lapis, so this is the only renewable source of it. Alright, moving on to the next one, we have the Toolsmith. And this guy I was very much debating putting him in the blue section, which is buying, because these next 3 are very important for buying things as well. So, the main thing you can sell this guy is iron. In pre 1.14, making an iron farm is extremely useful. And easy is the word I was looking for. You can make an iron farm for about the same effort as you could make one in pre 1.14 that produce around 30 to 50 ingots per hour. And now for that same effort in 1.14, you're making one that's producing, say, like 1,000 an hour or something like that. So you can get a lot of iron for very minimal effort, and there's a lot of really fast designs out there. And the new mechanics are really beneficial in that regard. So you can get an emerald per every 4 ingots sold. The thing that also makes this guy unique is that he sells diamond enchanted tools. So you can get a shovel and you can get picks, and these are pretty good for the fact that you can basically get armor or diamond tools from this. Use the grindstone to disenchant. So you really don't need diamonds anymore to enchant tools and get tools if you have one of these lying around. Alright, now moving on to the armor, which uses the blast furnace. Just to keep in mind, this guy uses a smithing table. I think I already said that. Anyhow, this guy, the main thing once again is iron, and we already went over that. This one doesn't actually have an iron trade, which is why he's a little lower. For the armor, it's somewhere around here with the bells and chainmail, so sometimes there's a chance that it sells these 2 things and not iron. This is one of those circumstances, so you do need the farm, because unfortunately you can't just cycle because it doesn't show up in the first trades. So you do need to look a little harder to find the iron trade. But this guy is still useful because he always has these diamond armor trades at the end. So as you can see, you can get a full set of diamond armor from this guy, and that is definitely useful. This is pretty cheap, like 23 emeralds for 8 diamonds and a chest plate. And then also have an enchantment on it that might be good. This is actually one of the worst enchantments you can get on it. So this is definitely a useful guy. And moving on finally to the weaponsmith. This guy is also useful. Once again, he has an iron trade, and also like the other ones, you can also buy a diamond axe or a diamond sword from him. So basically, with these 3 villagers, you can get full diamond gear all exclusively from them, so they're definitely very useful. And this guy uses the grindstone. And then finally, the last villager I'd ever recommend doing anything with selling-wise is this guy. You can sell him paper. That's about it. You can also sell him glass panes, which is pretty cheap. And if you have a sand duper and, a sustainable source of fuel to smelt that sand in the glass, I'd say that'd be worth selling. Otherwise, I just stick with these because you can very easily farm all of those items. But if you have loose paper and just need a few more emeralds and you locked up all your other villagers, this is definitely a pretty good guy. And you can also get these treasure maps down below, if this thing would work, which is not. Oh, they don't even show up in this guy. You can get treasure maps that lead you to ocean monuments and woodland mansions and things like that. And now let's go on to these 2 guys, which are the guys that basically are for buying things. This guy can have a paper trade, but to be honest, that's not why you get librarians. You get them because you can cycle through and find any enchantment you want via that method I showed you over there in this first or second slot. So basically, this is how you get mending, this is how you get channeling, the treasure enchantments. This is definitely the best way to do that, as it's once you get a mending trade, it's infinite nearly. So this is what that guy is used for. He also has 2 other enchantments down here, but you can't really pick those, so usually I just go off what is in this one when I'm trying to trade up with librarians. And there's obviously name tags and things like that you can also buy here. So this is actually the only renewable way besides AFK fishing that you can get name tags. And now moving on to the Mason, you might be wondering why he's on here, but the reason is A, you can buy bricks, that's pretty helpful, but the main reason is quartz. You can buy a block of quartz for 1 emerald. That's extraordinarily cheap. That's essentially 6 pumpkins per quartz block, so that's definitely a lot better than going out and mining for it. If you have like 10 of these masons, you can get several stacks of this quartz in one workday if you have enough emeralds. So this is definitely a one you want to have around if you're building with quartz a lot, and why he made it up on the blue. And also, if you have a lot of stone, need some emeralds. 20 stone for emerald really isn't that bad. And finally, and he uses this stone cutter. And by the way, this guy uses the lectern, in case I just want to mention that just in case. And finally, we get to the last three. I'll go over what they do, but these guys are pretty bad. I don't really see any use to them in the game, other than looking cool, I guess. But first is the leather worker. Basically, the main thing here is you can sell him flint, which, who is getting large quantities of flint? It's probably one of the most useless items in the game, in leather. But once again, mob farms are laggy, especially animal farms and things like that with all the entities, and it's hard to make these fast and automatic. Like, automatic animal farms are pretty slow unless you put in a lot of effort to break bedrock and things like that. So this guy is pretty useless. The only reason why he's better than these guys is the fact that it is one of the only ways to get renewable saddles. So I will give him that. You can also buy horse armor from him. So that is definitely a perk from these guys, I would definitely say. But there's not a lot going on with him. And he uses the cauldron as his workstation. This guy right here is the butcher. He uses the smoker as his workstation. Basically, you can sell him raw meat, and that's about it. You can also sell him kelp, which you can trade, which you can automatically farm. But honestly, I'd rather use these kelp blocks for fuel than trading. Overall, I definitely think there are other better villagers. You shouldn't be buying your food of emeralds. You can easily farm that. So once again, this guy sort of just doesn't make the cut. And finally, we have the worst one, the shepherd. You can sell him 18 gray wool for an emerald. And I wonder why people would ever do that. It's just like, automatically farming wool is laggy and slow. Like, why are you going to do that? That's literally the only thing you can sell him to. And if you're crafting the wool from string, well, that takes about, let me do my quick math. That takes about 72 string to craft the 18, when you could just go down here to these guys and sell that for like 3 emeralds versus 1 emerald. So once again, this guy really is bad. So there you have it, guys. That's every single profession in 1.14, post 1.14 Minecraft. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them in total. I hope you guys enjoyed this and found it informative. I know obviously this update's old, but I figure that, I really like villagers a lot, even though I'm sure someone has covered this before. I just like them a lot and wanted to share my opinion on which ones I think are the best. And yeah. Of course, there's probably one that's not ordered correctly, as somehow you can farm the items like in some way that makes it better. But realistically, like, yes, all these things are probably the easiest automatic farms to make in the game. And then like next is string, because hostile mob farms are also really easy. And the next is iron, because those are really easy, and so on and so forth. So this one might not be like the perfect best or something like that, but for me, in my play experience, that's what I have found. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you all are doing well in this pandemic. But other than that, I hope you have an easygoing day. If you enjoyed the video, I guess make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want some more content. Other than that, guys, I hope you have an easygoing day. I'll catch you all later.